feel like nowadays, if you're wanting to become an influencer, all your free time has to be creating content.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you don't have time for real friends, it's really important to have your online friends, you know?
This is absolutely true because they understand also that not seeing each other in person all the time is fine.
Yeah.
Right.
But you
It's
can still
nothing
be
personal.
friends.
Yeah.
I'm Susan Yara, and welcome to My Life Online. We're going to have a lot of fun and learn a lot together. One of the easiest ways to grow on social media is to collaborate with other content creators, but I feel like these days it's not as important as it used to be. There's no doubt you can grow on your own, especially the way the algorithm works, but if you truly want to sustain your social media presence, it's really important to have your content creator community around you. I bring this up because my two guests today, James and Robert Welsh, also known as the Welsh Twins, are part of my content creator community. At least I think so. I hope they think so too. I truly learned the importance of having content creator friends when James himself reached out to me years ago online. Since then, we've continued to grow in our careers and build our skincare communities. And I've also had the opportunity to watch as James and Robert join together as a team to become the Welsh Twins and build their own community. So in this episode of My Life Online, we're going to talk about friendship. I am so excited to have the Welsh Twins with me because you are by far some of my favorite people on social media. I said in the intro, I hope you don't mind this, that you're part of what I consider my creator, my content creator community, my friends
100%.
online.
Yeah.
And I really think, and you can tell me if you see this too, I feel like the newer content creators don't value their creator friendships as much as we do.
I agree. I feel like
agree.
with the rise of TikTok especially, I feel like it does feel very much everyone for themselves kind of thing.
It does. I think because everyone is trying to like openly and publicly try to get that influencer job, you know? They don't need anyone, they're trying to do it by themselves or quitting their job. But it's true, you don't see people, I don't know, creating as much of a community as they used to be, I guess.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is back when, I started 10 years ago. When did you start?
Well, I don't remember because I posted a TikTok and I was like, I've been reviewing skincare for 7 years. And you're like, 7 years? You're like, it's been longer than that. And I was like, shit,
I think, yeah. And then how long were you doing
When
makeup?
we went into lockdown, I started doing YouTube, but since 18, I was doing makeup.
You only
before.
started during lockdown, didn't
Yeah,
you?
because I forced him as well.
I was doing like small videos here and there, but when we went into lockdown, I was
went
like
serious.
full time. Yeah, one of my videos, it was Bella. When she did the scrub on her face.
Yeah, Bella Thorne.
Bella Thorne.
Yeah, that was
and I
it.
saw
She
you
really-
did a reaction to her
you know
skincare and I
what?
did to her makeup.
Yeah,
'Cause I was
Bella
let me
Thorne
do what
really, like,
Susan
started
does.
us.
And then I was just, and then I managed to do it full time from there.
I remember when I was starting off on YouTube, everyone would say, you need to collaborate. But there wasn't really anyone doing skincare on YouTube, at least that
it
I
was
knew,
makeup.
not in the US.
Yeah.
And so I would kind of sit there all by myself. Besides having my team, I would have my team with me and we would all work together. But there didn't seem to be anybody that wanted to collab. The makeup girls did not want to collab. They didn't want to have
Really?
anything to do with me because I was doing what they saw as boring, I guess.
Right.
It just
Why is
wasn't.
that?
It
'Cause
wasn't
it's a different
sexy.
style.
It wasn't like a trend then, was it? It was all heavy makeup and that's how you...
Yeah.
True.
That's how you fix everything.
Yeah. And I tell people that James reached out to me. Was it, I want to say it was via DM on Instagram.
It must have been.
It must have been because I don't know how you would have messaged me on YouTube. We had the ability.
Yeah, I just remember suddenly discovering you out of nowhere. And I believe it was your reaction videos that just came up out of nowhere. I was like, oh my God, I was like, somebody else that does skincare.
Yeah.
I was like, because there was nobody.
No,
there might have been, but
we were on our own in a lot of ways.
and I don't think there was many people that was purely focusing on skincare. Skinfluencer wasn't a word back then. Like that wasn't a coined term. So I was like, I almost felt like I wanted to, but obviously I felt like I had to as well because I was like, it does feel lonely doing your own stuff. And like you said, people were collaborating, which I don't think works quite as well anymore. But they're collaborating. But it was like lifestyle content or beauty challenges, makeup challenges, and that kind of stuff just wasn't happening within skincare.
I know.
At all.
I was really impressed. I remember seeing that you, even if you weren't collaborating, you were calling out other content creators and giving them credit and just like telling people they should watch them. And I found that to be really nice. And then one day I was on YouTube and I saw you were doing makeup.
She's so good at it too.
That's such a good makeup artist.
And I sat there really confused because I was like, I wonder why he's never said he does makeup. He only told me he does skincare, really, and sometimes hair.
Never in the end.
There's still a chance. It could happen
one day.
Sometimes hair.
We talk about skincare, grooming, and sometimes hair.
And then I put it together. Luckily, I was.
You never told me that.
Yeah, I actually put it together quietly. I'm one of those people. I never.
Respectfully, quietly.
That it was your brother.
Yeah.
It was Robert who was doing makeup, and then I put together. You were twins, whatever. Kind of moved from there, but you weren't doing content to get together yet.
No, and I think on purpose as well.
Yeah.
I think like we very much wanted our own separate channels. Everyone was always like, you should do stuff together. Our whole careers always been like, you're twins, you should do stuff together kind of thing. But
Which
I think
works for us now.
It does work for us now,
But when we started, we wanted to. I think, especially when I went into YouTube, it was because I was so angry.
What were you angry about, Robert?
Just makeup YouTubers on YouTube, because from being a professional makeup artist, people would say to me, I'm going to contour my nose with a fork. I'm like, you know what the fuck? Where are you getting this information from? And all this
it
stuff
was the
people
peak
used
of
to say.
5-minute craft beauty hacks.
It was,
like,
yeah, and people like doing like makeup challenges. Let me do my whole face with a shoe and stuff like that. And so, well, I wanted to go in it so serious and so professional. And I think I did, to a point where it was kind of like quite brutal and angry.
If you look back at his early videos, there's a lot of loud talking that verges on shouting because of how angry he is at these makeup hacks and these weird techniques coming out like the YouTube world. So.
Yeah, so I wanted to do my own thing, keep it really professional, let James do his thing, I do my thing. And because James is already doing it full time anyway, I was like, well, I don't want to come in and be like, and I'm James's brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Although that did also help.
That happened
because
too.
people were thinking I was James. So when they saw the thumbnail for this video that I did, everyone was clicking on it to see what James was going to say, you know? And it
You're
was
welcome.
me. No, thank you.
No, yeah. But I pretty much had to force him to do it full time.
Yeah, you
because
did.
I was doing it full time just before lockdown happened. I remember going to yours to film something for my channel. I was like, why aren't you doing this? Like, your videos were getting decent views, even though you hadn't started doing it full time. I was like, everyone's doing it. Just do it. Like, there's already
Everyone's
a community
doing
on
it.
there. Everyone's doing it.
Peer pressure.
Yeah, like at the time,
scared.
more and more people were doing it, and there was already a huge skincare community. So I was like, you can slot right into that.
Makeup community.
Sorry, makeup community. Yeah.
It's scary though.
It is scary, but I do feel like both of you have obviously grown your followings on your own without each other. But I feel like when you became the Welsh Twins, it really turned into something big.
Yeah,
right?
it's definitely something we should have done earlier on.
I agree.
I think.
Our community together, I recognize so
Everyone.
many people in the comments.
Yeah.
So many, it's such a nice, and I know people say this, and I hate to set up parasocial relationships, but there are amazing, amazing people that follow us that you recognize, and it's nice to see them in the comments all the time, in our messages. They know our private jokes, you know?
It's very rarely like you open up your personal DMs, like accept requests.
I would
but
never,
there's certain people that I see who are consistently commenting who you always look out for in your comments on on our twin channel that I'm like, oh my God, yeah, accept, why aren't I following you? That kind of thing. And like you said, I don't want to start these parasocial relationships, but I was in Liverpool and this woman walks up to me and she's got a hoodie with our logo on, and instantly I knew we were friends. It's that kind of thing where it's like, I immediately felt comfortable because I know she knows who I am. She already knows all my positives and negatives and my personal jokes and
sense
how
of
I
humour
talk, sense
as
of
well.
humor.
Yeah.
And we got along. So I was like waiting outside a shop for my friend to buy a jacket or something. She was on her way to work and we talked for a good half hour, like so easily and openly.
Yeah.
So it reminds me of the early days of YouTube. You know when you first start your channel and then like you had that really nice community and then you hit 10K and then all the trolls come. It's
like, then it gets
I don't want to be in
horrible.
my,
Yeah,
I don't want to be in my comments anymore. Even though we have, how many subscribers do we have on our twin channel? 300,000 or so.
Yeah.
It still feels like that. It still feels like a really close community.
Yeah, it
and
does.
it's definitely something I think for professional wise, we should have done earlier on.
Yeah.
But I think for our own well-being as well, we should have done earlier on. But yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's partially what I was trying to get at with, you know, in the intro of this episode, I talked about it. You might be able now with the algorithm to grow without ever collabing with anybody else.
Yeah.
But for sustainability, right? I actually think if you don't have these friendships that are people that are doing the same thing as you, then you feel a little bit lost at some point and you get burnt out.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think it's hard to explain actually, but like I think when you do feel like you're on your own, I also feel like you're not taking inspiration from others as well. Or you can't jump into another content creator's DMs and be like, how was it working with this brand? Right. Or how did you find creating that video? Like, is this subject okay to talk about? Like, what do you think? You know, it's nice to kind of have like a little focus group beyond those who work with you or your brother, for example.
People who understand what you're doing and what you're going for
your
as a
niche.
career
And
too.
for example, if I ever had any career advice, I would turn to you. I mean, if I ever get to that position in my life, or, you know, I have other... I hate the way it's saying like smaller creator friends, but people on less subscribers who ask me things about lighting set, you know, all the technical details as well, things that aren't on camera that I think is really, really helpful. And it's nice to have that hub of people. And you do feel the first 2 years of doing YouTube for me was incredibly lonely because I was doing skincare hauls that I didn't think anybody else cared about. Do you know what I mean? Like other than my subscribers, and you learn from each other as well.
This is true.
Yeah. Especially I think with the rise of like dermatologists and scientists online in the skincare space.
Yes, yeah.
I think we've learned so much. And I feel lucky when it comes to skincare that I think skinfluencers, as we're now called, industry professionals, and then your scientists in the industries, I feel like we've managed to create a nice working relationship, if not friendships as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I didn't have that, I'd be very lost at this moment in time in the skincare space for sure.
Yeah, you know, I think I really felt it when I had my drama.
Yeah, do you
during our
remember?
lockdown.
Yeah, lockdown drama.
And you know what's funny is that a lot of people tried to pull in my friends like you and even you, right? I feel like people were messaging you too. And you know, it was really interesting to see our community almost kind of collapse for a bit there.
Yeah.
Because we were so well connected with each other. And I think a lot of people saw us as one.
Yeah.
Or as a unit, not as one, but as a unit.
And I always say it was strange because at the time, I think the skincare community was fairly new. And especially with lockdown, the boom of skincare, we all kind of got fairly popular. I say Hiram, like 6 million.
I know. And by the way, you were the first person I ever saw talk about Hiram. You collabed with him.
Yes, I collabed with Hiram. Yeah,
when he had barely any followers.
Yeah.
I remember messaging him, congratulating him on 1 million. I was like, here's the 2 million next year. And he was like, no, 6.
But that's something. And again, seeing another guy doing skincare, as a gay guy as well doing skincare, was like nice for me, you know. But I think everybody was like, oh, you know, skincare is drama free. The community's drama free, especially compared to the makeup. Obviously not compared to the makeup community. So when that did happen, I think people were like, oh, for fuck's sake, knew something like this would happen, you know, all that kind of stuff. But then also personal wise, because I think people forget. Obviously, we are businesses as people, but then we also do have friendships, and we're not all as close as we are. Yeah. But like, it was tough to be like, well, you know, knowing the full story and like what really happened, I guess you can say, but then obviously not wanting to really talk about that because it's not my business.
Well, because we're friends, right? So like, you wouldn't go online and be like dragging your friend through.
I mean, professional wise, there was things I had to drop with Naturium. Which you were so understanding about. And we still talk. I think people think we fell out as well. We didn't. We were
like, fuck you. No. I'm so sorry. I was like, James, I'm so sorry.
We had Zoom calls and everything.
I mean, the hardest part was that we couldn't see each other in person, so I could apologize. It took 2 years to see you.
Wasn't I meant to come out? There was going to be like a big launch and stuff.
You and Hiram were going to meet up. This was right before actual lockdown. We were all going to do our first meet and greet ever.
Oh, that would have been so
I know, it would have been fun. Back when we were the Trinity.
Well, see, that's the thing is we built up a real kind of reputation as like, not just influencers, but being friends and being linked as well.
And it made it fun.
It made it fun. So I think when all that happened, I think people kind of annoyed at us for, I guess like...
Annoyed at me.
For creating drama or there being a drama. I definitely felt that in my comments. Like,
I feel like people expect drama also all the time. They always expect something to happen or they're waiting for something to happen.
I think especially with
just because, not like, they're waiting for something, but because it's been a pattern of every influencer subculture. I mean, there's even drama in like the knitting community. You know what I mean?
My favorite YouTube channels are the ones that delve into the dramas in communities you didn't even know existed. But I think, like you say, it's almost like it's the lifeline of an influencer, the timeline, that people expect from an influencer.
Right.
Be a micro influencer, get really, really popular, launch a brand, get into drama. And I feel like people are waiting for that to happen.
Sometimes you don't have to launch a brand anymore. I feel like everybody will eventually have some type of drama. And I do actually think, even when I look back at what happened to me, there are always these people that are almost like waiting on the sideline. They're waiting on the sidelines. And they're kind of like, we're going to find something out about this person. And it turns out we're all human.
Yeah.
So there are things you're going to, if you dig,
Yeah.
you will find something, I suppose. I guess the level of how bad it is what matters.
Depends on how you see everything. I had a comment the other week and it really pissed me off because they were like, I was talking about, it was obviously somebody who worked for Avon or Saint and MLM, and I did a horrible video about the company. And I did a video about Fenty and I was like, the potential downfall, I was like, what can they do to kind of save themselves because everyone's getting a bit bored of Fenty, right? And they were like, oh, here you are again. I can't wait to see your downfall when everyone finds out what you're like. I don't do anything. What are they going to find out? When I sit at home and do nothing. Like, why are you waiting for the inevitable downfall?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
It's
you
so
know what,
strange.
Robert? I'll tell you, I had a 6-month-old at home. I was like sleeping in a separate room from my husband just so I could stay up all night and breastfeed her. I was trying to launch this brand. And I truly, truly thought I would never, ever be like, no one would ever try to cancel me. Yeah. And it comes almost out of nowhere.
Right.
I'll tell you, like, you really, really don't think that people have all this time on their hands. And then they do.
This is what I will say as well, as I feel like people waiting for that to happen to you. Like, you can see from like the kind of comments you get, you know, even just when you comment on somebody's video, you get a glimpse of everybody else's comments. But I do feel like people waiting for something to happen. So when it did, everyone was in, you know, everyone was like,
this
knew
is
it, knew it. Yeah, kind of thing. But again, I feel like that happens with a lot of, well, not a lot of influencers, but people are waiting for something like that to happen.
I think nowadays it's almost like people get canceled so much now. Canceled? Is that what we call it?
It kind of lost its meaning
It
now.
kind of has, because if they're all getting, you almost go like, oh, that person too, huh? You were just sitting here telling me about all these people that have been canceled. And I was so surprised because I haven't heard about any of this stuff. And I think it's because it just...
See, I never used to care, but then I was never into like looking into what people were doing or people telling us stuff. But now I kind of take note because people do align you with these people. And there's some people who they may have been, you know, guests on our podcast, or maybe I spoke about them once in the video. It's like, they're like, I know you're really good friends with this.
So
like,
we're not.
I've never met them.
This is the thing as well. When we first started, I guess you could have considered us older for like an influencer at the time.
Same.
Right.
I always joke that I'm like the only adult online.
So we weren't really into watching. We probably watched like horror, true crime, things about dogs on YouTube. We don't really watch beauty in our spare time. So we would talk about brands or influencers who we really didn't know had any drama. But then we started to realize how really important it is to be in the know of who is who talks about what
actually matters that they've done and what doesn't matter that they've done.
And whilst we never used to watch drama channels, it became really important for us to kind of watch those more commentary channels just to be like, these are the kind of people we don't want to be part of our community and who we align ourselves with.
But then it's up to you. It doesn't mean you have to be like, oh yeah, I agree with everything. You can make an informed decision on, you know.
On what's happening.
You don't always have to go with it.
Yeah, but I think what people need to remember is that we're real people. We sometimes have real friendships and sometimes they're more touch and go. But maybe I'm taking it back. So should we not have content creator friends these days? Is it too dangerous?
I do think it's important. When I started going full time and I made these reaction videos to beauty influencers who were always really, really nice to me when they watched it, even though I was a bit of a dick.
Like you tore into them?
To be honest, bit of an arsehole.
They would message me on Instagram and be like, I saw the video. I'm like, oh, I'm glad, you know, you took it on board. Because I would, if James came in and was like, critique my makeup, I would be the same way. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who they are. But I did feel like this makes me more comfortable going into, at the time, what I considered their space. You know what I mean? I'm just coming in and being like, this is wrong and this isn't right. And then when they've been doing it for years and years. So I think even having that, it doesn't have to be a hardcore friendship, but even that acknowledgement of each other and you know each other exists, you know what each other are doing, it's quite nice. It's nice to have somebody like your, you know, a picture or message you and be like, oh, what did you think of this product? I think it's nice to have that. I don't think we've ever experienced like a full-on friendship with anyone UK influencers.
No, and I guess that's
really
kind of
with the
on
UK.
purpose,
I wonder. I'd never even actually considered that. You're not really buddies with UK influencers.
This is really strange.
Because we didn't do UK events for the longest time.
And I don't consider us. This is really strange. UK influencers. Our audience isn't from the UK. It's the US.
We obviously have some like UK,
but
primarily US.
When you look at our statistics, it's majority of the US, over 60%.
Yeah.
So it's like we're English brands might not know who we are. English companies don't know who we are. So I feel like there is a tight group, and everyone we've met has been amazing.
Oh, everyone's been so lovely. Like, we kind
Yeah.
of regret not going to these events earlier.
Yeah.
Do you know the old-fashioned networking? I think that's what it is. Like, rather than making these friendships, I think a lot of people understand the influencer, being an influencer as a business. So I think people more understand that what these friendships that they're building are business contacts,
It's like
I
a
guess
colleague.
you can say.
It's like you're just at work.
Yeah.
You might not be like, really good friends with them, but you're acquaintances and you're like colleagues, and
And
you're doing
DM
the same
each other,
thing.
you ask questions,
On and off.
you see things that happen, you're like, whoa, did you see that?
Yeah, exactly.
To a
Work
certain
conversation.
extent, yeah. But I think it's very rare
Yeah.
that you become like good friends.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I feel like back in like the makeup days, you see all these groups of friends who would then get into big friends who would get into this big drama, and
That's
now they
true.
probably don't even
And then
talk to
drop
each
each
other
other,
and then drop each other like that.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously when there's been controversies, we're still friends
Yeah.
and publicly being friends. Do you know what I mean? So I think there's a very different. I think what we have is rare. I think people have friends, but I think when it comes to like the business side of it, I don't have many people like you and I.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think now. I think because I have a brand, I've built closer relationships with other content creators.
Yeah.
But I will say you kicked it off for me because I was really closed off, where I was like, I don't want to be friends with any of these people. You know, they're so rude. They're always treating me badly when I do go to an event.
Yeah.
And then you opened the door and I was like, oh, it turns out I'm soft. You melted my cold heart. And then it was like on from there. I wanted to be friends with more people. But I would say that I think that I don't know. I see a value, and I think that people are becoming more and more lonely online.
Yeah, I agree. I think especially when they are trying to become an influencer, especially. I'll try that again. I think especially when they're on the rise to becoming an influencer, right? And they're working that stage where you feel like you're talking to no one, but you really want to get your content out there, and it's going to pay off eventually.
You're kind of pretending you're an influencer before you are. Yeah.
And especially with TikTok as well, where the content has to be pumped out. It's not like I would maybe record on the weekends. I do 2 videos a week on YouTube, and then the rest of the week I had at work. I go out in the evenings kind of thing. But I feel like nowadays, if you're wanting to become an influencer, all your free time has to be creating content.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you don't have time for real friends, it's really important to have your online friends, you know?
This is absolutely true because they understand also that not seeing each other in person all the time is fine.
Right.
But you
It's
can still
nothing
be
personal.
friends.
Yeah.
Talking about people getting canceled, I think that's actually a really good reason to have online friends, right? Because you'll get that support. I feel like a really great example is, for instance, Michaela, right? She grew so quickly on TikTok and then inevitably had drama, right? But I feel like she's been able to keep going for 2 reasons. One, she has this community of people that just love her. And then she also has this creator community where they're friends with her, where she used to shout them out and do all this stuff. So they feel really loyal to her. And I feel like I really paid attention to that one. I don't know why. I never really paid close attention to drama, but that one I think that was such a big one.
Yeah.
And what I noticed in the comments especially were the content creators that stood behind her. Even when people were like commenting back to them, like, how could you support her and everything? They just rode right through it.
They did. And they did it. I was looking for your comments as well. They did it with humor. They were like, oh, Michaela, yes, fake those lashes and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God. And part of it's like, okay, that's kind of funny, but also there's no integrity in it as well.
You know what I
mean?
always see this stuff from a business point of view as well, which I think is interesting, because to look at if you're not a working influencer, you kind of like don't know the behind the scenes of how that job came about, or like you were saying, like the link to influencers links to each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is the integrity side of it. For me personally, encouraging that would be a bad business choice.
Yeah.
I don't know if many people see that. So I think while people are very much entertained by drama, it's interesting seeing their friendship group as kind of like a business. If that makes
And
sense.
I think
How does
there's
that
a
work?
difference between TikTokers and YouTubers as well. YouTubers, we know it's kind of like, take it slow. It takes us a while to get to 100K, 1 million. It's more sustainable, I guess say. Whereas with TikTok, it's like TikTokers work really hard, like don't get me wrong, but they have to constantly impress people, constantly do something new. And I feel like as quick as it comes, the drama, it goes quicker also.
Yeah,
you know what I
that's
mean?
true.
That is true,
Because
actually.
there's another one next week.
Yeah. Going back to talking about communities is the drama that would happen on YouTube. If it happened to one person, the whole friendship group
Right.
would go with that, like,
Yeah.
or be involved in it. Whereas on TikTok, even though we have creators commenting in the comments and people saying you shouldn't be supporting this, I don't think the reaction to them, the friends commenting, is as big as it would have been on YouTube.
This is, you know what? This is true because we would have been way more careful about what we would comment
Absolutely.
if we saw something happening, right?
Yeah.
If at all, yeah.
If
we
at-
said
if at all.
anything, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that because as well, our community is stronger on YouTube? And we're like, I not only need to watch out what I'm saying for me, but for
them
our community
also.
and our
Yeah,
relationship
maybe.
as well.
Because that's always going to hang around. The comments you're making it are always going to hang around. Like, from Reddit posts, everything stays around forever,
Reddit
right?
posts,
Yeah, the most dangerous place in the world.
This is one piece of advice I have for like new content creators,
Don't go
not
on
new
Reddit.
content creators or those up and coming. Is don't go on Reddit. Like, save yourself. Like, it's a place for people to talk about whatever they want to talk about. Fair enough.
Who are
Just
entitled
don't-
to,
who are
yeah, but
entitled
just
to their
don't do it to
opinions,
yourself.
but don't do it to yourself.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
not go on Reddit.
What kind of advice would you give to newer content creators, whether they're on TikTok or YouTube? I actually feel like I'm seeing more people, even like last night we were at dinner and just hearing how, all these content creators there, even if they're experts, they're still, even if they're growing really well on TikTok and Instagram, they're like, we're starting a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
What do you
So many
think
people
about
are doing
this?
that.
I would say YouTube feels more sustainable. There feels like a very quick turnaround on TikTok.
Yeah.
Both when it comes to your virality and your popularity, there's always going to be that next person.
Yeah.
I do feel like YouTube is the place to build a community.
I do too.
Of not just fellow influencers, but subscribers, and like build your own. So it feels like your own community as
Right.
well, and people you really relate to because they're looking for your exact niche and your topic kind of thing.
Right.
Sounds really tacky, but I do value community over competition, and I think it does better for you in the long run as well. Throughout every career I've ever had, whether it's online, whatever, generally being nice and being a good person and getting along with people and wanting to work well with people has always seen us through and gotten us really great.
That's the thing. I think
things.
it's slow and steady. TikTok, yes, you go viral and it happens so quickly, but as soon as it's happening, it's over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with YouTube, although it feels slower and although it feels like
Less,
nothing's going to
almost,
happen,
yeah.
like less, it's going to get to a point where it's just going to blow up and it's going to be constant.
And
constant, it's gonna
continue to
roll.
as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think, like we said, integrity. People will always remember the bad stuff you've done.
That's the thing. I think like a lot of our our branding, our unique selling point is just basically being, it sounds so stupid, but honest.
Yeah.
And like I think that comes from us being so angry,
everything.
especially everything that was going on online at the
Yeah.
time. And we hate brands trying to trick us into doing things, or like other influencers trying to trick you into buying things up, because we take it personally because like we're a
Yeah.
consumer as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
It's
just
money.
having that integrity throughout your content is so important because people can see through you. Like people will instantly know when you're lying. People subscribe to you for
People
a
know
reason.
when you're rage baiting. They know when
Yeah.
you're just trying to get clicks and views. So just be a normal fucking person.
Yeah, I know.
And do you and be yourself. And that sounds so terrible. Be yourself.
yourself.
But like don't try and overly impress people. You know what I mean? Because it's like you said, everyone can see what you're doing and it's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
So just do what you need to do
Yeah.
and it will happen.
Yeah.
But you just need to work at it. YouTube is a harder platform to
YouTube is way harder. Whenever I hear all these people saying that they want to get into YouTube, I'm just like, why?
I'm like, you should have started yesterday.
Yeah, I know.
Get
I'm
on
like,
with
do
it.
it, but also don't give up because it's going to feel like nothing's happening.
For the
I know.
longest time,
For
yeah.
the
And
longest
audiences
time.
don't transfer like you think they would. They don't go from YouTube
No.
to TikTok,
No.
you know.
And I think when you look back also, because you're in even more traditional careers, right? You spend the majority of your time with the people you work with. They become your really good friends. They sometimes become your family.
You spend
whether
more time with them than you do at home sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And so when you're a content creator, you're working so closely with yourself that it's really nice to have these friendships. And now that I'm 10 years out, I look back on it and I'm so glad I have these friendships that are true friendships now too. Maybe they won't all become these types of friendships, but to have some of them to come out of it, it feels worth it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
It's so true. That's so true. Working with like a team of people and you're in a room by yourself talking to a camera. It's like, you kind of miss just standing around doing nothing with your work friends, don't you? Yeah.
Bitching about the customers.
Exactly.
I feel like you definitely, there's just, the communal sense on YouTube is so different to
Yeah.
It is.
So maybe that's why I find it really important to have these friendships, these online
I
friendships.
think so. I think it's just embedded in what we do.
Yeah.
Two different ways, through other content creators and through your audience as
So
well.
if you're thinking about going onto YouTube, the advice is build your community with not only your followers, but with the other online creators on YouTube.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you need that supportive team behind you.
Go team!
Go team! Although we do dislike some people.
It's bound,
Not everyone is
bound to
friendly.
happen.
Yeah, not everyone is nice. Or has your best interest at heart.
This is true. Some people are actual snakes.
But that's another
for another
episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you too.
If you want to see more, you can follow them. Tell everybody where they can find you.
So James Welsh on YouTube, James_S_Welsh on TikTok and Instagram.
And I'm just Robert Welsh on YouTube, obviously, and then Robert WLSH on Instagram. All my links are on YouTube.
LSH?
Yeah, because Robert Welsh was taken. It's a knife brand.
Oh.
It's a brand of knives. So they have everything.
And then, of course, the Welsh
And
Twins.
you're not the
Twins.
same person.
We're not the same person.
Now you know.
Not a green screen.
Makeup, stop sending me James's PR and stop sending him makeup.
We don't live together. Can you stop?
We're 35-year-old men.
And then the Welsh Twins on
on
YouTube.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of My Life Online. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to follow, rate, and review, and also share it with a friend so we can continue making great episodes for you. You can also find me on social media. I'm at Susan Yara, and if you enjoy beauty, especially skincare, make sure to check out my YouTube channel, Mixed Makeup. I'll talk to you soon.